Okay, and for those who are attending this session, please feel free to say hello in the chat and also add questions that you have for our panelists. We're very excited to have you joining us. We would love to hear your questions as well. Great. So we are officially live as well on YouTube, which is wonderful. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have this webinar that we're hosting. And for this new year in 2025, Latinx and AI is very excited to bring to you monthly webinars. And we're super happy to host alongside the Women in Machine Learning organization this month in celebration of International Women's Day, and of course to bring excitement and pride for all the wonderful women working in this space, and to also highlight the Latinas that are working in this space as well. So for those who do not know me, my name is Laura Montoya. I'm one of the founders for the LXAI Institute in Latinx and AI organization and programs. We also have my co-host Ana Quintero on the line. Ana, do you want to say hi to our guests here?
Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I work along Laura in LXAI. So really happy to have you here in celebrating the Women's International Day.
Thank you, Anna. And of course, we have some amazing panelists that we're very excited to share with you as well. As you know, the AI revolution is evolving rapidly and transforming industries and redefining the way that we interact with technology. However, as innovation accelerates, significant challenges remain in closing the AI gaps related to gender, culture, and ethnicity. So despite these hurdles, we remain optimistic. By fostering inclusive conversations, we know we can build more diverse and representative AI spaces within our organizations. So for this month, obviously, like I said, we're collaborating with the Women in Machine Learning organization to bring you an inspiring panel of artificial intelligence and machine learning leaders. And joining us today, we'll do a quick intro for each guest, and we'll also ask them to give some background information. So let's start with Gabriela de Queiroz, who is a director of AI at Microsoft. Gabriela, do you want to do a quick hello and intro to the guests here?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Very excited for this panel today. My name is Gabriela de Queiroz. I'm a director of AI at Microsoft, where I work with a lot of AI startup founders. I'm originally from Brazil, but I've been here in the Bay Area in San Francisco for the past 12 years, working in big tech startups. But also, there is something that I'm very passionate about, which is communities. I am the founder of like two communities or organizations to bring more diversity into tech. One, it's Our Ladies, is a huge organization. The other one is AI Inclusive. So very excited to be here today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And then we also have Paula Ramos, who is the Senior DevRel and Applied AI Research Advocate at Voxel 51. Paula, would you like to do a quick intro for our guests?
Sure. First of all, thank you for organizing this amazing event. So I'm Paula Ramos. So I'm located in North Carolina. My journey in AI and technology started because, I was curious about those, these kind of things that we have in tools that we have in AI. I grew up in Colombia. I saw how this technology can change the way that people can work in agriculture. And that has inspired me to follow the career in AI. So I think I was working in AI before AI was cool. That is a phrase from a good friend. But when we were working with we didn't have tensor cores or expensive GPUs, pure caffeine and CPUs.
Wonderful. Thank you. That is a way to get it done, right? Caffeine and CPUs for traditional data science and machine learning, for sure. And then, so thank you, Paula. We also are glad to have Caroline West here, a senior AI ML engineer at GSK.ai. Caroline, do you want to do a quick intro, please?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. So I'm on the WiML board. I became involved in WiML, I think around 5 years ago as an organizer. So ever since then, I've been active in the WiML community. So I always love joining these events. In my day-to-day work, I'm working at a pharma company in machine learning at GSK, and there I'm leading a team of engineers working on clinical AI. We're working on large language models for electronic health records, so predicting basically the health journey for patients from their previous patient history. Yeah, very glad to be with all of you today.
Thank you so much. And of course, last but not least, we have Malika Setkovic. If I pronounce that wrong, please correct me. And you're an AI engineer at Google. Would you please introduce yourself to our guests today?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, it's Melitza. Hi, everyone. My name is Melitza. I am an AI consultant and engineer with AI services at Google. I started in ML many years ago. I'm academically trained mathematician and statistician, so I do come from statistics into the ML world. And I do have to say, probably is where I'm still most passionate about, solving stats problems rather than, just generating a bunch of text. Currently working with building kind of like a real world, a large scale AI systems for real world business problems. And I'm also involved with women in machine learning. I'm was one of the organizers on the workshop at NORBS last year, and currently one of the kind of community advocates for WiML.
Wonderful. Thank you. So obviously, this group of panelists are all very involved, not just, of course, in artificial intelligence and machine learning at their work, but also in amazing communities that really bring people together and really support and enrich this world of artificial intelligence and women working in this space, especially. So we're very glad to have everyone here with us. And here I will be happy to also give us an opportunity to dive a little bit more into the work that we do in our day-to-day lives. Obviously, we have such diverse backgrounds and we come from different experiences, and there's so many different ways that you can apply artificial intelligence and machine learning in the real world today. So I'd like to give the opportunity for each panelist to dive a little bit deeper and talk about what it is that you are really excited about, whether that's a research project or maybe an engineering project that you're currently working on. Help us understand your area of expertise and what gets you really excited about artificial intelligence today. Maybe let's start with Caroline. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, so as I said already, I work at a pharma company, and I work in the field of clinical AI. So what that means is basically I work at the end of the drug development pipeline, where we already have a drug, but we want to understand how to apply the drug best for subpopulations, how the individual patients will respond to a certain drug, building risk predictors and all of that. So my background originally was I started out studying biology and life sciences. So I would say that's my passion at heart, is just understanding the natural world. And I did my undergrad and my master's in those spaces. During my education, kind of this was when also the scale of biological data became larger, like the whole genome project happened. And it became clearer and clearer that maybe like statistical methods aren't doing the wealth of data that we have quite justice. And also at the same time, AI became more popular, deep learning happened, and it was just a natural progression to see like what can these models do for the questions that we have, and help us understand like the data that we have better, because in biology, there's always so much more that's actually contained in the data that you have than you actually get out of it. So this was my natural progression into AI. I then did a PhD in AI for healthcare, where I worked on antimicrobial resistance prediction. And yes, ever since then, I've been just really passionate about trying to understand how you can incorporate different large-scale data sets to help patients, and to find solutions, and also to have a sort of realistic lens at the application. So I think there's a lot of academic work in the spaces, but I think when you actually think about patients at the bedside, there are so many factors that you have to think about, like safety issues, like what if the data changes? What if your machine that collects the data changes? So many aspects that keep you accountable for the work that you do, that you think about how it actually can be applied, but it also makes this, the problem quite interesting, because you have to look at it from so many different angles. So yeah, this is the space that I'm active in ever since my PhD. Yeah, I think it's a really, really cool space, and always happy for more people to join. I think it's a really evolving field at the moment. I think there's a lot happening, and even people that don't have a biology background and are coming from a pure machine learning education are joining and are contributing to the project. So I think it's a really exciting field.
Yes, very exciting. Thank you so much. And then let's get some industry perspectives as well. So I know, Paula, you're working at Voxel, and it's a very different area of work, right, in artificial intelligence right now. You guys are mostly working on computer vision, is that right? Do you want to give us some details about projects that you're very excited about?
Yes, for sure. I have been working in computer vision for a while. I told you just before AI was cool. But I think that, before Voxel, I have this need to connect dots, and also have like a practical use cases. So moving from the theoretical frameworks to the practical use cases is so hard. That is the last mile in the projects. And it's something that we can see right now with a lot of researchers and a lot of AI in production. They are failing too much. So, I'm working during my PhD and before my PhD and after my PhD. I have been working with subject matter experts, try to create, this last mile, try to adopt technology, create the technology in a better way. So, and one of my main projects right now is, I'm currently working on something that involves building strong research partnerships to close the gap between the theoretical areas and real world applications. So I'm passionate about helping researchers take the important step beyond theory and move toward practical use. So that means understanding real life challenges and creating solutions that are both creative and useful. And this is one of my main roles at Voxel 51. So we are trying also to advocate for the use of open source solutions that can help them to provide a solution close to the production part. In AI, that is super important, because right now we have a lot of AI trends. Those AI trends are creating a lot of noise, and some people, researchers, industry, they are trying to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can use all the algorithms that we have so far, improve the data sets, and move forward to make these models successful in production. That is part of my role.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paula. It seems like you're doing some really incredible work as well at Voxel. And, maybe from a different size of company, I know Voxel's, considered still kind of a startup. So maybe, Melissa, you can share with us a little bit about how Google is handling AI, and particularly what projects you're very interested in today.
Yeah, so I'm gonna switch the topic from, kind of Gen AI. I actually don't think that that's talked about much in this webinar right now, but usually, Gen AI has been all the talk and all the craze, and that's all people tend to talk about nowadays. But I still think that to solve the actual real world problem, there is a missing piece there a lot of times, which is, what is the business application? We do live in a world where at the end of the day, the goal is to, grow businesses and make money. So with that in mind, it is finding the problem where you can actually apply some of these hottest trends and technologies can be sometimes challenging and not always applicable. So as Paula actually was saying, we have we have methodology, so why not apply this in real world a little bit more, a little bit smarter. So currently I'm mainly focused on very traditional machine learning models. Some of the projects that I work on right now are traditional ML, going into a little bit deeper into some causal areas. And I think that that is definitely being underinvested. Part of it is because it's not really mainstream. So unless a company has a very strong technical team that has a background in some of these methodologies that are not just whatever it's trendy and mainstream out there, it's not necessarily the solutions that they're looking to get. And then the second challenge that I think is very important, that again is in the maybe individual consumer community not being talked about, is there is still an issue of putting all of this in production, right? And if you have massive data sets, how do you handle that? If you have something that needs to scale easily, how do you handle that? If you have something that needs to be running in real time, and you have massive feature set, well, how do you handle that, right? So the infra is, I think, getting more important, and I do think that the aspect of AI infrastructure is being definitely with NVIDIA, it's getting more trendy, but still not as talked about as it probably deserves to be.
Great, thank you so much. And I think similarly, Gabriella probably has a kind of experience with this, being that, so you were previously at IBM and now, of course, you're at Microsoft. And so you've probably seen AI from the beginning, how it's been treated, but you also get the opportunity to work with startups and see people building new AI. So I'm curious about your perspective here, what projects you're very excited about, Gabriella.
Yeah, there are several, and I really enjoyed what Milika said, and I relate so much. I think we all talk about the AI all the time. There is a lot of foundation that we need to do, and there is a lot of other things that we need to do that is not as technical per se, but it's as important. At Microsoft, I'm focused on like helping early stage AI startups to build and scale AI products. Usually like Microsoft Clouds or other AI tools, open source tools. And one project that I'm really excited about is not technical project, because my whole thing is about how can we translate everything that is happening to the rest of the world. So I like communities. I'm a communicator, but there is a video series that I'm leading that it spotlights AI startup founders, where they showcase their products, the technology behind them, and their real world problems that they are solving. So it's very practical in a way. So it's a way to celebrate the innovation, but also like share the practical insights that others are building in this space. And I would say that my expertise is it's all over, but it lies at the intersection of like AI, product development, strategy, community building. And I try to help both technical and non-technical teams to navigate the AI journey, like from shaping this initial idea that they have to launching and scaling impactful AI products. Other things that we do at Microsoft, I do especially that I enjoy, is like getting on the early stages of like products that are going to be launched or released. So we go and go through several testings, and we have the chance to put hands on and try the thing before it goes to the public. So it can be Microsoft Azure, any new feature, or it can be on GitHub. We work with GitHub very closely, which is always fun to try all the new features in the space, from AI to code review.
Wonderful, thank you. And I know that with all these different backgrounds, it's very important to think about how we got here, what pushed us to get to this level, right? Whether we're working with others and being a leader in the startup space, whether we're leading research projects more in the deep academic side, in the sciences, whether we're building the engineering products and doing infrastructure, or being on the cutting edge of computer vision. I think these are all very unique experiences. So I'm curious, for everyone on the call, what was your like defining moment in your career that pushed you towards this leadership position and in artificial intelligence, because everyone's had to start from somewhere. What got you to this place where you're confident and you know that you can essentially lead the work that you're doing now? And also feel free to raise your hands if you want to jump right in as panelists. Yeah, sure, Gabriella, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really like this question because it's very interesting. And I've been thinking about this if there was a moment, but it's kind of like it was a progression. But I feel like when I go back and think about this trajectory, one defining moment was when I realized that even though I was working on like this very impactful data science project, I realized that the technical work alone wasn't enough. I saw several great ideas stall because of like we had misalignment with stakeholders or maybe lack of real world context. So this connection, it was kind of like what made it clear for me that building models wasn't the hard part, but getting them adopt and creating real impact, that was the thing. So that's when I decided to move into more formal leadership roles. For example, building into the interdisciplinary teams, shaping products and AI strategy, and making sure that the work actually resonates with users, which is very important. And for me, like this leadership in AI is kind of like connecting all these dots between technology, people, and outcome. And that's where I truly found my place in this intersection.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gabriella. And I think you also have a big fan in the chat. I see Yvonne said, this is a great panel that inspires me to keep growing in the area of AI project management. So I'm sure that definitely resonates with their sentiments as well. And those soft skills are so important when communicating to stakeholders. So thank you for sharing that perspective.
And I call Laura, sorry, I always tell people this. I don't call soft skills because they are so important. So I call essential.
Oh,
right? Because
yes.
Because soft feels like it's not important, and I feel like in the AI era,
yes,
those skills are going to be more and more important, right?
Yes. 100% agree. Yes. In fact, they're often harder for some people, right, than than the technical skills. So yes, thank you, Gabriella. What about the other panelists who would like to go next, or I can choose you? Yeah, go ahead, Paula.
Okay, so I think that in my case, I think that the defining moment was a challenge that I have on my career. So in that moment in my career, I needed to lead the development of user-friendly technology that could cover low cost, easy to use, easy to maintenance. And we are talking about computer vision, IoT computing solutions for farmers. Just thinking about the end user, that was the challenge, And this experience showed me the transformative potential of AI in agriculture. And in that case was agriculture, but this is for agnostic to the verticals and industries. So, and this underscored the importance of leadership in driving innovating solutions. And what was the most important there, that I needed to move from concept to large scale implementation. Because yes, I can create a paper, that's perfect, beautiful, but how can I put that in practice? And that was the aha moment that I have of my life. So, and it was a critical point where I realized the impact of, merging the technical expertise with visionary leadership to create a real world change. So that was a really important part of my life.
Thank you so much. Yes. And I think that that's very important for all of us to understand as well. How can we apply AI in the real world to make a difference and to make an impact? That's wonderful, Paula. Thank you. How about Caroline? Do you want to jump in next?
Sure. Yeah, what Gabriella said really, really resonated with me. I think looking back, there's not like one defining moment for me. It was a bit of a process, but also now looking back, I can kind of see what may have been some of the causal elements there. I think, yes, for me, it was working on these complex projects and really enjoying thinking about the whole story, like from beginning of project inception, but also like how do we apply it, and not just thinking about the modeling, but actually asking questions. Okay, we will have the model. What then? And what challenges will we face? And I think there's also a point that where you realize you cannot like complete the full project with just your skill set. Like you need other people that come on board and fill out certain positions that you cannot take yourself. And then it kind of arises almost naturally that you need to have a team, that you need to bring people together and lead them to complete this project. So I think it can be an intimidating position to be in, to realize, okay, there's so much work to do and there's things that actually I cannot do, like I'm not very good at, maybe on like the infrastructure side, but also maybe you're like not a domain expert. So I think it's the common situation that you find yourself like you need help from others. But that also means that you can assemble a team and that you can like propose to lead a project and assemble people. And I think this can be intimidating position to be in, but also like you can try to take on the challenge and actually grow into that role. And yeah, realizing that leadership also often just means bringing people together and making sure that everyone can do their best work, and getting people excited for working on something bigger than their own skill set. Yeah, so that's how it happened for me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, so it's definitely still a team effort, right? But it's a level of maturity that you reach to kind of gain that responsibility and acknowledgement in working with others. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And so, Melissa, I'm curious for you as well. What was your defining moment or your progression? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I actually want to talk about something else that is not just AI, but how did I actually get here? Because it was very non-traditional compared to I'm not actually sure about the rest of the panelists, but for me it was my whole path was completely untraditional. So I came to the US. And it's interesting because I think we're all immigrants here. So I absolutely love that. Not only women, but immigrant women. So I came to the US for college, got my degree in math, had no idea what I'm doing afterwards. I was a shot girl on Bourbon Street for a little bit. I bartended for the longest times. I work in nursing homes. I was just all over the place trying to figure things out. Had nothing to do with AI or ML or anything for years. Had nothing to do with math for a couple of years either. And then I started working as a curriculum designer for a large publishing company for middle school math. I did it for a while and decided, oh, I think I want to go back to grad school because why not? And then I was kind of like, well, what should I study like in grad school? I don't know. It wasn't a very kind of like, oh, you studied math and then you're going to this. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I want to go into civil engineering. I'm not sure. So kind of decided, oh no, I think I actually want to go into statistics. Took a bunch of prereqs. At the moment, I moved from all over the place, from Chicago to New Orleans, Columbus, Ohio, then ended up in Madison, Wisconsin, and started taking prereqs. Ended up getting, the master's degree while holding a full-time job at a publishing company. Then I started an internship in a biotech startup that became a full-time job after my degree, and was ML engineer for a little bit. So it was completely untraditional. And after that, I was like, you know what? Coding is great. Coding nonstop is great. Building models is great, but I'm so underutilizing my essential skills that I have plenty of. And in the meantime, I also started teaching ML in boot camps at a time. And I was like, I think I need something where I'm going to be talking to people and solving their problems in real time, in real world. And the opportunity that at Google kind of opened up, it was very that was the easy part, to be honest, because the everything before that was insanity for me. And then this Google opportunity kind of was like, oh, I think this is exactly what I want to do. And I was a very good fit for it too. And it kind of like corresponded to all the insanity that was going to the buildup that I was going through before that, to get into a position where I can still be very technical, but in a real world, real time, solving real problems, talking to people, and leading teams in a very large scale. When it comes to AI. So that is a little bit of my story.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And so good to hear about, non-traditional backgrounds and people that are taking different routes to get to a certain place. I think we don't hear that enough, especially when you start attending a lot of these major AI and machine learning conferences. They tend to be very academic, and not enough people focus on that. Like life can throw you curveballs, and we all get here eventually. So thank you so much for sharing that. Since we talked a little bit about impact already with AI, I think it's great. To talk a little bit about this as well. For the panelists, we're all so fortunate to work in some of the most advanced AI teams currently that are shaping the future of this technology. And I'd love to hear more about your perspectives on AI and its impact. Where's AI headed, the challenges that we still need to tackle, the opportunities that we can create. So I wonder if you can answer this question. Imagine that you wake up 5 years or 10 years from now. What's one major challenge you hope that AI has solved by then? And do you think it's possible to actually happen in 5 or 10 years?
I can go. I can go again.
Sure.
I feel like if there is anything on the healthcare that we can advance, that would be a big win. So maybe making healthcare more proactive, more personalized, more accessible, especially for underserved communities. So I feel like if there is a world where we can early detect chronic diseases or like mental health conditions uh, through this everyday interaction with technology, where care is not just as reactive but preventive, where language, location, or like any financial limitation don't stand in the way of someone getting the help that they need. So I feel like there is so much promise in AI for diagnostics, treatment, recommendation, and even like remote care. But for me, the real impact will come when we can bridge those gaps in access and equity. And that's the kind of change that I hope to see in the next decades. That's my biggest desire for not even 10 years. Hopefully, it's going to be earlier.
Yeah, 100% agree. And hopefully not just for developed countries, right? But also for the whole world. It would be amazing.
Especially, yes.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Who else wants to jump in with their hopes for 5 or 10 years? Paula? Yeah, please go
Yes.
ahead.
So the first thing is I mean, this is just pretending. I don't want to be just sleeping 10 years and don't be awake about this evolution and revolution that we are facing right now with AI. So just pretending. I hope that AI will grow a lot, especially when it works together with robotics. I think that we have a lot of hopes, but this is just hopes, papers. And the goal is not just to have robots doing small tasks at home, as we can see right now, but to see AI and robots working smoothly together to help us in many parts of our lives. So, and this could bring better tools, as Gabriela was mentioning, for healthcare. In my case, for example, smart farming machines. So we need to talk about small scale farmers, or even new ways to support education and care for all their people. So, and the idea here is to use AI to build helpful and easy to use robots that can really improve our lives. I think that this is something that I want to be awake. I don't want to be on my bed.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. How about Melissa? Do you have thoughts on how things could change?
Yeah, I do. We are in AI world nonstop. And so we're exposed to this, and we don't often think about when you're constantly exposed to this, when you live in this bubble, you don't really always have a sense of what's happening outside of it. But the reality is that there is a whole world out there where that AI it hasn't touched them yet in any shape or form, nor maybe it never will. I'm not sure. And when the whole Gen AI craze started a couple of years ago, even my grandpa at one point asked me like, "Oh, so what do you think? Is it going to be some kind of like a AI apocalypse, like Terminator type of situation?" And I was like, I don't. The reason why I'm a little bit skeptical about this is the funny story. Actually, I was in Brazil last year, and I was in this national park called Chapada Diamantina, and I had a guide. And I was thinking about this question and I was like, I'm here in the middle of the forest. I don't have internet. There's no hot water. There is no water at all most of the time. You're swimming in rivers to wash yourself type of thing. The internet was like not only internet, there was no phone, there was no service, there's nothing. For 5 days, that was completely off the grid. And this human who is just this incredible human, right, with like skills that I can only like dream of to have, even though, it's not AI skills, but just skills that are like, I'm like, whoa, you superhuman. This person will never be affected probably with AI, or like if they are, it's not going to be directly in their lives. So I think if we forget about this whole world out there that has nothing to do with this little AI bubble. And at a certain point, another thing that we forget about is that this bubble is not that big. It's growing, but it's really not that big. We all kind of know each other. You have heard about people that it's a small group of people. We're not. I'm pretty much like 1 degree connected with every single person in this room, right? Like it's 2 degrees most. It's a relatively small group of people still that we're talking about. And so to me, if I'm looking into the future, it probably would be that to solve the problem of plain accessibility to what we're actually making here. It is really not that accessible to everyone yet. And probably a lot of people would benefit from some of the even the basics of AI out there, but of the technology that we have right now, whether that's even on kind of like on edge or on small devices, but it's not utilized. It's really not accessible to everyone yet. So I think for me, it would be like the matter of accessibility and spreading the world to the rest of the word of the world to the rest of the world.
Yes, definitely. So hopefully impacting them in a way that is beneficial for all society. Wonderful. And how about you, Caroline? What do you think 5 to 10 years from now?
Yeah, first of all, love all the love for healthcare applications. Finally, I think I want to choose an example that's outside of the field that I'm active in, and that's probably maybe piggybacking a bit of what Melissa talked about, and that is like personal teaching assistants. So basically, I think when interacting with the LLMs, like the first thing that they were useful to me is like almost having like a personalized teacher that I can talk to, that can give me feedback and that I can ask questions to. I think there's such a huge potential to transform the way that we teach adults, but also children, and to make the learning experience more interactive and actually more natural learning experience. Like children naturally are so curious, they want to ask questions. They don't necessarily want to be put in a classroom and being told to sit still. So I think there's like in terms of the modeling, I think we made a lot of progression to get these models to a point where that would be possible. I think they're not quite there yet. I think they maybe sometimes need to be a little more critical and happy to disagree with what you're suggesting. But I think we're getting there fast. But then the next question is, okay, we shouldn't just be happy with the fact that the models exist. Like, how do we get them to like all the children out there that and in underserved communities, but also everywhere, that how can we make sure that these children can learn more actively, like more naturally, and follow their interests more easily. And I think if you think about like active learning, is a lot more effective. It's a lot faster, and it gives you a lot more opportunities to choose the field that you're learning in. You can like 10x education, I think, if you were to do this right. So I think if it will take a couple more years to actually roll out, but if we could actually make this happen and make sure that people have personalized teachers as they grow and they learn, I think this could make such a huge change in society if people just had a whole different experience with learning and with education, really.
Yes, 100%. So much opportunity for impact in education. I think a lot of people also have concerns, though, around the potential for this technology to become integrated in every aspect of our lives. And with a lot of that personalization also comes concerns around privacy and data sharing and also the effects of deepfakes and such. So I'm wondering, for each of you, these risks, what are the things that really keeps you up at night when it comes to AI development? Is, not to go too negative, but maybe along with that, what can we do to stop it, right? So what's your biggest concern? And then how can we approach that concern in a way that is constructive and could be applied also maybe within the next 5 or 10 years to keep it from happening? Anyone interested in jumping in?
I can start. I think that's a very hard to tell. I think that, assuming the worst is not the way to go, in my opinion, first of all. I also don't think, I kind of like believe in the world with the kind of checks and balances type of thing that, one solution or one whatever can't just destroy the world. Maybe that's, again, an optimism in me, but I don't believe in this theory of Terminator happening anytime soon. I really just don't. I think that the biggest thing is actually providing education on these tools so that people can not develop this kind of misconceptions. It's okay. It's hilarious to think that this is. I'm sure, like, if we're talking about like a government level and some kind of like a secret technology lab that is doing some cool research, yeah, that's probably possible. But like in a sense of like a real world and what's realistic, probably not. And it's funny how without truly understanding what we're capable of doing with AI at the moment, we think, oh yeah, this is the technology that is going to, either solve everything or destroy everything, whatever. But in reality, for example, I just learned yesterday then about this product that is, making a lots of money in revenue. Like I'm talking about like, billions a year. And the whole thing is running in Excel spreadsheets. Like, no joke. Like, I'm not joking right now. I was mind blown. I was like, this is not this. It's a one-person team that is running everything out of Excel. So I think that there is, there is also like a realistic side of this. And I tend to be more on it's okay. I don't think that we're going to be destroying the world anytime soon with this technology.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so true, right? It's more about how people use it. Who else wants to jump in, Paula?
Yes, for sure. I think, I'm super look with this idea that, AI won't destroy the world soon. Soon. No, never. I think that we need to work together with a lot of people and needs to, work in the responsible and ethical AI. And I think that right now that is happening. But one thing that worries me the most is that, that AI, if we use AI, we can forget how important human skills are. So, and I think that this is happening because I think that we are living right now in a bubble. We don't want to be out of home. We are just losing the human nature to talk with others. So we need to build communities. So totally with you, Gabriela. So we need to build communities. So and AI comes a bigger part of our lives. So always, we have this risk to people and they can trust too much in technology. But we need to be focused in something. We need to be focused on critical thinking, empathy, and creativity. So, and this is really important that while we keep improving AI, because that will happen for sure, we also keep growing these human qualities. It is impossible to. So I think that we need to be more mindful with these essential skills that Gabriela was mentioning before. Soft skills, essential skills are really important. That the way we can keep a good balance between technology and the human sides of life. So I think that we need to keep those things.
Thank you, Paula. Yes, so much. For sure. I think it's insane that we are all meeting here now digitally, mostly from our homes, right? As you mentioned, and even there's so much AI built into this technology that we're using, right? Like Zoom and so on. So this would have been such a great conversation as well in person, and let's make sure that we do it as well at the next opportunity we have to meet together. So, how about Gabriela or Caroline? What do you think about what might keep you up at night and how can we solve that problem?
Yeah, again, not about the technology. I'm very concerned about the human, again, aspect of like us being so dependent on AI and the screens. We are like all dependent on the screens, that we start losing this sense of connection. And for example, I have 2 kids, and my main worry is like that they are spending too much time interacting with devices than with each other. Like we start to forget this value of like connection, presence, curiosity, real world play, and we are losing this human connection, this warmth that it's so important. And I'm very afraid of like the development of like the mental health conditions, especially in the young kids and the newer generations. That's something that I keep reminding myself and trying to be mindful about those tools and devices and being intentional about how we use AI and technology, and thinking about, are we designing this to bring people closer, or are we replacing this human connection? And as the more and more powerful AI becomes, the more I feel like we need to protect what makes us human. One thing that is worrying also me a lot is when I talk to young AI founders, they talk about like, oh, we are going to replace every connection. Now you're going to be in front of the computer. You're going to be interacting with the machine. Like, why do you need a therapist? You can talk to ChatGPT. Why do you need to talk to someone in person? Like, you can do this online. And I'm like, no. You have no idea. This is not the way to go. There is something that we all need as human, that it's a human connection, that it's replaceable. So that's the thing that keep me up nights, and every day I think about this, and every day I do like a very mindful action of like trying to meet people, because I can be here in my little office in front of the computer doing AI, talking to AI, and not interact with people, and that's awful, right?
Yes, 100%. This actually reminds me of a book I read recently called Hum, where all the characters are living in a dystopian future with these Hum AI robots, and even the small children talk to these digital watches with AI built in called bunnies, and it just takes over their lives, and they have no human connection. So, if you're interested in that topic as well, it could be a good read for you. And yeah, then this feeds in well to what Carolyn said in the last for the last question, right? If we have these AI tutors, at what point do we lose out on learning from those real people around us? So, Carolyn, I don't know if that keeps you up or if there's another topic that you're really concerned about.
No, I'm thinking along those same lines. I think when you think about those big models that are being built and that are now being like employed in our lives to some degree, I think they have this like averaging quality. Like they take out all the knowledge that's kind of there present in humanity and like consolidate them into one model. And what I'm wondering is, and I don't have a good answer for this, is like what does this do in the future to the motivation of people to contribute to produce more of that? So like Wikipedia is like all included in these models. So but people do not really have the connection to Wikipedia and the people that put the text on Wikipedia anymore. So is there still motivation to create new knowledge and to create new Wikipedia pages if those models kind of have averaged that and collected all of that information, and people don't really understand where the information came from initially. Same with artists. Like we have these different types of like visualizations that originally came from artists and were developed by them, and now they're just kind of contained in the models, and people do not really know anymore where they came from. So what does that do to the like individual human? Like how can they see where they can contribute if that connection is essentially lost? Like if you do not see where the human effort that made up these models, where it actually came from. So like one thing I'm thinking about is there could be a bit, in one way AI is advancing our world incredibly. In other aspects, it could actually be slowing it down because people interact with it differently. These models are now trained, people interact with them who's going to actually develop the world that we live in, and to actually then have more data to develop the methods further. So I don't really have a good answer to that or a good theory of what's going to happen, but I think there's some interplay between the models and the humans that will happen. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Caroline. And I also want to remind the audience, if you do have questions for the panelists as well, we will take the last few minutes to have them address any questions from the panelists. So please do feel free to start putting them in the chat also. But before we get there, I would like to also see if you guys can give some advice to those in our audience that are maybe a little bit newer. So if you could go back in time and give yourself a one piece of advice about your career at the start of your AI journey or just in general, what would that be? How would you address your younger self who may was just considering this career in AI?
I can take that because like as someone was saying, like my path was not a straight line or path. And so I would tell myself, don't worry, things are going to be fine. Keep doing whatever you want, like whatever makes you happy. You don't need to be like programming robots when you were 9. Go play, go do your stuff, go try things out. Um, Follow your trajectory. You don't need to be on one lane or always be technical enough. And one of the most rewarding parts of my career was from like embracing all these changes and exploring these new roles or blending technical skills again with community building, storytelling, strategy, and especially like AI is evolving and the roles like the job roles are also evolving as well. So don't be afraid of define your own path. It's your own path. Whatever you bring to the table, it's only you can bring. Don't like see someone and like, oh, I need to do the same path as this other person to be successful or whatever successful is. No, like do whatever you think it's right for you, it's good for you, that you are going to be successful in the end. So even if it looks like different from everyone else, and I see that's where you grow. That's where you get all the other skills that are not the technical skills, the essential skills as you try things out and try these different lanes. So for myself, hey, Gabriela, don't worry. Everything's going to be fine, even though people think that it's not, but it's going to be fine.
Yes, I think that's something we all need to hear all the time, in fact.
Exactly.
Yes, Paula, I see you turned off.
Yeah, so I think that, I'm with Gabriela as well. So if I have my younger self in front of me, I will say, hey, you need to feel the freedom and you need to feel less fear about the journey. Through my journey, I have learned how important is show results from AI, but it's not just about AI, it's everything about the career. But I have also believe that the power to help people, I can say, hey, this is a good way. You can help people, you can guide them. Also as a communicator, I think that this is powerful thing. And maybe, I could say you could have started earlier or taking a different path. But something that I really trust is that everything happens at the right time. So, and the universe is perfect. And what matters most is that I have stayed true doing work that means something and brings a real value. And let's keep doing that. Bring real value to your work and make the things with your heart. And that has been the heart of my career. When you put love and passion in every single thing that you have. I am a believer that the music is really good. And there is a song for a Colombian singer that is called Camilo, and the song is called Querida Yo. I will put the link in the chat. And this is the feeling that I have for my younger Paula. And I say, hey, everything is okay. Life is successful and you are doing a great job. Just keep doing that.
Wonderful. Yes, great advice. Please follow your passion. Melissa and Caroline, do you want to address this question? Or also, we have a question in the chat that could be similar. So do you have any tips on exploring practical AI use cases? This person recently earned a certification in AI project management, and they're eager to apply their knowledge to real-world scenarios. So also maybe advice in this sense, how would you get started applying in real AI use cases?
Just to go back to the previous question, I just want to say one thing.
Of
Actually,
course.
one thing that I would say to my younger self that I did not learn until very recently as a Eastern European woman, I'm Serbian, we tend to be very straightforward people. The American way of communication can sometimes be a little bit difficult and challenging. And one thing that I would say to my younger self is that it's okay to be kind and to be extra kind. And it's okay if not everybody is going at the same pace as you are. For me, that was like a massive learning curve. Like, how do I have tolerance and patience for everyone else's pace and not just go with my vision of everything, and then really truly be kind. I know that's something I'm still working on. The Eastern European in me sometimes comes out, but I'm trying really hard to slow her down and to be like, okay, dude, you gotta chill. Everybody is different, and that's okay, and you need to be kind to everyone. So that's my big thing. But yeah, I'll have Carolyn respond to how to. By the way, I'm not whatever you want, but if you want to take the AI question or something else.
Yeah, I think my answer to the question from the chat actually kind of feeds into one of the things I would tell my younger selves is also just try to. One nice thing about AI, if you want to interact with it and if you want to learn about it, is you can just do it in your computer, right? Like, I come from biology. Like, if you want to try something in biology, you need a wet lab. You cannot just like sit at home and start doing it. So I think both for my younger self, who was like going into this field, I mean, just only after my undergrad education, it's just to try out things, like try out models on your computer. There's pretty much data on anything out there if you look for it. So the more tinkering that you do is a good way to understand like what could be a use case. And the nice thing is, like, you can even I feel like you see a lot of those examples if you browse around Twitter. Like, you can just try to apply them to things in your own life. Like, sometimes if you have an idea of what you would like to have, like an app you would like to have, or a question you would like to answer, like, try to build it yourself. And this will be like a learning experience for you, but you will also understand the problems. And most projects can be broken down into like a very small piece or a smaller version if you try. So yeah, I think this is a good way forward to understand how you can apply them to real world applications. And I also should have done that earlier in my real life. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And so along the lines of final thoughts, because we will be wrapping up this wonderful panel, what is one, let's say, book or podcast or show or movie on AI recently that you fall in love with that you would love to recommend to the audience?
I can start, Gabriela. I can start. Okay, no, I think that again, this is not just about AI. This is perfect personal growth, and I think that we are working so hard in AI that is a complex environment. It's a complex field, and we need to keep balance. So I really invite the people to read books like 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, I know Ron, that gives tips on building good habits for a balanced life. That is really good. I know taking care of your body and minds is important when we are working in these complex fields. But also, I have also enjoyed a lot of podcasts that give you a critical thinking about the field and how AI is moving in businesses and all. So it's Lex Friedman podcast, and this is how AI is being used in the real world. And this is really good. So book and podcasts. That's all.
Thank you, Paula.
Uh, I I try to get away of like the technology. I do listen to some AI podcasts, but I try to when I read, I try to go to the completely opposite. So like to read something that is more inspirational. I think the last one that I read, and I like her, it's Mel Robbins, the Let Them Theory. I like her inspirations, whatever she has to say, kind of like keeps me going, and it feels like she goes through several things that I have gone through my life. And I like to read things that will make me feel better in that sense. So, like again, because we are so AI focused every day in the computer, I try to go to the extreme in that sense. But in terms of like, there is another book, not that I read recently, but one that is very interesting. If no one ever read this one, is the Weapons of Math Weapons of Math Destruction by Kath O'Neill. It gives like it's very powerful to look how those algorithms can reinforce bias and inequality in areas like hiring, education, policy, and finance. So that's the one that I always recommend, no matter where you are, if you are in AI or not. I think we all should be aware of like the problems that AI and all the technology can cause.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Gabriella. Caroline, do you want to recommend any books or podcasts?
Yeah, same here. I when I read or when I listen to podcasts, I usually try to avoid the AI topics. I also feel if you listen to a lot of AI podcasts, sometimes you don't really learn a lot about AI. They sometimes venture a bit into self-help podcasts anyway, so you might as well listen to self-help podcasts. I think if I'm really trying to learn from experts and further my ML knowledge, I actually like sometimes listening to old conference talks. Actually, more like there's a lot of gold like in workshops or in panel discussions, also from old conferences. About old, I mean like from the last 2 years that I haven't caught up yet. There you can really find like discussions on like very specific topics from really the experts that were there. I do find that very helpful. And then yeah, when I do listen to something else, I usually try to get like an expert on whatever I'm trying to learn about and at the moment. So I read a brief history on intelligence over Christmas, and that was an amazing book. That was really, really interesting from like a biology side, and also then learning how that all fed into machine learning. So I can really recommend that book.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And how about you, Melissa? What do you think? Any favorite podcasts or books that you would like to share?
Yeah, I actually, as I said, I'm into this non Gen AI ML. So currently I follow a lot of Alexander Molek. I don't know if you guys follow him. He's very big on promoting causal inference. And he talks to large companies that have large labs that work with causal, like Booking, Spotify. And it's really, I love his podcast is great because he really talks about like use cases and case studies directly with people that do the experiments. But also he does have a causal inference book. I think it's like the basic one, like a causal inference in Python or something. So he's doing like a lot of work advocating for that, for causal ML and causal inference. So I'm kind of into him lately. That would be the ML side of things. And kind of like a final thoughts from me is, considering this is, a women panel and it's women themed webinar. One thing that I would like to say is that I think it's okay to be a woman. It is not something that a lot of times it's a lot of things that makes us women. It's a taboo still in the world, but it shouldn't be because it's part of our everyday lives, and we are, 50% of the population, whether you are, a born woman, identified as a woman, or whatever. We go through these struggled struggles that the 50% of population is a lot, and we don't talk about them and we don't bring them to work. And we try to, especially in the AI world, we try to sometimes blend in with the rest, and we shouldn't. It's okay to be a woman, and you should fully embrace it, and with everything that it brings. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Melissa. I think that's a good note to go out on. And also, we did have some other books shared in the chat as well. So we will follow up and share also the LinkedIns of all of the panelists, the amazing women that have, of course, shared their experiences with us today on an email for everyone who registered. And if you're interested in following another podcast as well, Latinx and AI does have a podcast that you can also find on our YouTube or our RSS channel. So it's also available on Spotify, Apple, and so on. We'll have some new episodes coming out soon, and Anna will also be joining as a host there with Abraham. They're currently recorded in Spanish. We will also be releasing some English episodes. So if you don't speak Spanish primarily as your first language, that would also be a great, great new podcast to check out. So thank you everyone who was able to join us today. We're very happy that you were here with us to share this time and space and connection and experience. And of course, we would love to see you in person. So please join us at one of our upcoming workshops, events. We have socials. We will be at ICRA this year, the International Conference on Robotics and Automation. Also, potentially iClear, International Conference on Learning Representations. You can catch our big workshops at the ICML International Conference on Machine Learning and NeurIPS Conference. We'll also be at CVPR. So many opportunities to get together in person and share this joy and time together. So thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.